Okay, so get ready. This deep dive is going to get kind of dark. We're talking pathocracy.
Yeah, definitely not a light topic.
Right. Like you want to understand how these big societal problems happen, and you gave us political ponerology heavy stuff.
Not exactly beach reading.
No, but important. We're diving into this idea of pathocracy, basically. A few messed up people in charge.
Not just a few bad apples, though. The whole system.
Yeah, the author's saying it's deeper than that. To get how pathocracy happens, we got to rethink evil.
Right. He uses this term, ponerogenesis. It's how evil starts and spreads.
So is it individuals? Is it the environment? Where does this ponerogenic process, begin?
It's the question, right?
Yeah.
And it's both. He talks about these psychological things, anomalies.
Okay, so more common than we think these anomalies are.
Yeah, and in a small group, not a huge deal, but they get influence.
That's when it gets dangerous.
They have a bigger impact than they should.
So, personality disorders, stuff like that.
It's not about slapping a label on everyone.
Right. Just because someone's ambitious doesn't make them
a threat to society. It's this specific mix of traits. Often they're extreme, and it's how they work within the system.
Okay, so more than just saying, oh, they crave power or they're manipulative.
Way more nuanced. Think of it like this. Society's a mess. People are upset. They want answers.
It's like the perfect breeding ground for this stuff.
Exactly. They want someone to blame, someone to fix it.
And that's where these individuals...
These psychological differences, yeah, they jump in.
They take advantage.
Often they don't even know they're doing it.
Oh.
The way they see the world interact. And it's just different.
So they're not always consciously being evil masterminds.
Sometimes it's just how their brain works. And importantly, they don't see how they make things worse.
Even though they think they're the ones to fix it.
Exactly. And this is where ideology is huge. It's a framework. Justifies what they do.
It's like even movements that start good.
Totally. Revolution's gone wrong. Classic example.
Yeah, they start with real problems, people wanting change.
Then, bam, hijacked.
By someone with their own agenda.
About control.
And most people, they don't even...
Yeah, they don't see it coming. It's gradual.
Like a slow poison.
Exactly. Language changes. Things get extreme. Disagree. Too bad you're silenced.
So how do we even know if it's happening? What are the signs? Red flags?
One big one is the double talk.
Double talk.
Words mean one thing to them, another to everyone else.
So it's confusing on purpose.
Yeah.
To keep people off balance.
You got it. Control the information. You make people doubt themselves.
Is it me or...
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah, and they'll have these so-called experts backing them up.
Thinking it seemed like everyone agreed.
Exactly.
But what about the people who don't buy it?
Yeah.
How do they live under that? Day to day?
The book talks about this psychological immunization.
You're kidding, really.
It's like coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Just to survive in a system that doesn't make sense.
Your brain's trying to protect itself.
Right. They adapt, lay low, don't cause trouble.
Can't imagine it's good for you long term.
It takes a toll. Learned helplessness, like nothing you do matters.
Man, it's just constant fear, uncertainty.
Exactly. That's what this system wants. It needs that to thrive.
Breaks down trust. Makes people scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all feeding it. But he doesn't just leave us with this, bleak picture, right? There's hope. A way out.
There is. And it starts with understanding exactly the stuff we're talking about.
So knowledge is power.
In this case, it's the first step to getting it back. We have to understand how these systems work to even begin to dismantle them.
Which brings us to why this deep dive matters. What does it mean to live in a world where this isn't just history, but a real threat? And how do we, individually as a society, protect ourselves from this?
Those are the questions we're going to unpack as we keep going.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned for this one. Things are about to get really interesting. So pathocracy, it hides, right? It looks like something else, but now we know the signs, at least. But what do we do with that? Awareness is one thing, but then what?
$1,000,000 question. And this book, it doesn't exactly give a step-by-step guide.
Right.
But the point is, Understanding how this psychology works, that's huge GE for making societies that can actually withstand this stuff.
So it's not just, oh, that person's bad, but building up a system, like an immune system, but for society.
Exactly. And just like an immune system, you got to have multiple lines of defense.
Okay, I like that. So what are we talking about? What are those, like, defenses?
Education, that's number one.
Not just school, though, right?
It's bigger. It's your whole life, learning to think for yourself, questioning things, looking for different viewpoints.
Calling BS, basically.
You got it. Seeing the manipulation, the propaganda, but also emotional intelligence, learning that and teaching it.
So knowing your own feelings, but also other people's,
Mm-hmm.
right? Empathy, all that.
That's it. Because this pathocracy stuff, it feeds on us not handling our emotions well, our fears, insecurities.
Our need to fit in.
100%. So know yourself as well as you know the enemy, right?
Damn, that's deep.
Means being honest about our own bad sides, too. The more we see those in ourselves, the less someone can use them against us.
Okay, I feel that.
But that's just the start, right? Self-awareness by itself doesn't change the system. We got to make systems that are harder to break, too.
Like, that's prone to these power grabs in the first place.
Exactly. And that's everything. Politics, how media works, education.
Sex and balance is everywhere.
Everywhere. Because power, it messes people up. You give them too much.
Yeah, absolute power, absolutely corrupting the whole.
So spread the power out, make those in charge accountable, more transparency, all that.
And be wary of anyone who says they're the only solution, right?
Big red flag. They love it when we're desperate for simple answers.
Which, let's be real, a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
Not simple.
Nope. The world's messy. Most stuff is complicated. So if the answer seems too easy, it probably is.
So get comfortable with, I don't know, or it depends.
100%. The more okay you are with not knowing everything, the better you'll navigate this stuff.
Huh. Because things change constantly anyway.
Always. Being able to learn, adapt, that's more useful than any one answer.
And this is key, right? If this pathocracy thing is in the whole system.
We got to change the system, not just the people in it.
Because otherwise, same problems, different faces.
Right. Got to go deeper. What are the conditions that let this happen in the first place?
Change the rules of the game, not just the players.
Exactly. And that means our values, what we prioritize, how we even see what it means to be human, that's got to shift.
Okay, so where do we even start with all that?
He says it's about understanding human nature better, the good and the bad.
So no more rose-colored glasses.
Nope. Got to see the darkness to overcome it. That's what's so interesting here. It's not just complaining about bad stuff. It's a call to action.
Like political ponerology. It's a to-do list almost.
It is. And we all got to figure out our part in that.
So what's that look like?
Yeah.
Day to day, what can people do to make a difference toward this better world?
Well, first off, learn about this stuff. Educate yourself, then teach others.
Knowledge is power again.
The more people know how these systems work, the less likely they'll fall for them.
Shine a light on the cockroaches, they scatter.
Something like that. And support the groups, the people who are already doing this work. Critical thinking, media literacy, getting people involved in their communities.
So, like, fund the good stuff, put your money where your mouth is.
Yes. And in your own life, make choices that actually match what you believe.
Don't just talk about it, be about it.
Every decision matters.
Yeah.
Every action. You're either part of the problem or part of the solution.
No pressure or anything, right?
We all have a part to play, that's the point. And even small things, little acts of courage, being kind, sticking to your values, it adds up.
That's actually really encouraging to hear, because I got to say, this is some intense stuff.
It is. But hopefully it makes you think.
Oh, it does. And I think what I'm taking from this is knowing about pathocracy. It's not just about seeing the bad. It's about finding the good we can do.
100%.
But that knowledge, it comes with responsibility, you know? You can't just unhear it.
Exactly. You got to do something with it. Learn, teach, make better choices, and never stop fighting for better.
Okay, so we've looked at the signs of pathocracy, the systems it uses, how to fight back even. But there's this other piece we haven't really gotten to.
Yeah.
If knowing about this dark stuff is the first step, what's the next one? How do we actually build something better, not just survive the bad?
That's where it gets really interesting, because see, this political ponerology, it's not just a warning.
Okay.
It's also kind of weirdly hopeful.
Hopeful how? I'm not seeing it yet.
The author, he says real progress, the kind that lasts, it only happens when we base our societies on, like, real human nature.
So not pretending everyone's good all the time.
Exactly. Not utopias, but who we actually are. Flaws, messiness, the whole deal.
So accepting the bad with the good.
Yeah, because pretending evil's not a thing or that we're above it, that just makes us more vulnerable to it.
Like denying it doesn't make it go away.
Building a house on sand, that's what he compares it to. Eventually, the whole thing collapses.
Makes sense. So what's the sturdier foundation then? If that's sand, what are we building on instead?
Self-awareness, for one. Thinking for yourself, being willing to face hard truths. That's the good stuff.
Okay, so less wishful thinking, more reality checks. But what does that look like? If we're building that world, what are the, bricks of it?
Education's huge, he says, but not just, memorizing facts.
Right, not just school.
It's about thinking critically, handling your emotions, being responsible for your own actions, teaching people that from day one.
So giving them the tools to make good choices, basically.
Exactly. That's what makes you resistant to manipulation, helps you build good relationships, all of it.
It's like you can't control other people, but you can control how you react, right?
And the more people doing that, the stronger the whole society is. But it's not enough just to focus on individuals either. The system's got to change too.
Because if the system rewards bad behavior, doesn't matter how good you are personally.
Exactly. We need systems that actually value those things we talked about. Transparency, people being accountable for their actions, leaders who are, ethical.
So it's both inside and outside.
100%. Create a culture where being honest, caring about others, thinking for yourself, those aren't just nice ideas, but how we actually operate.
I like that, but man, that sounds like a lot of work.
It is, but it's on all of us to figure out our part.
So what's our part then? Where do we even begin with all this?
I think it starts with recognizing we do have a role, however small it seems.
So everyday stuff matters.
Every time you choose to be kind instead of mean, speak up against something you know is wrong, even just refusing to get sucked in by fear-mongering, that's all part of it.
It's like you might not change the world today, but you can change your world and that ripples out.
We're not powerless, that's what I'm saying. You have choices, and those choices matter.
And to remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Right?
This is going to take time, effort, all of us working together.
So where does that leave us then? End of this deep dive. And I got to be honest, it's been heavy.
Yeah, no doubt.
But important.
For sure. Hopefully got some gears turning.
Big time. I think the biggest thing I'm taking from this is learning about pathocracy. It's not just about seeing how bad things can be. It's about remembering we can choose to make them better.
Exactly.
Because once you see this stuff, the patterns, how it all works, kind of can't unsee it.
Nope. And with that knowledge comes responsibility. Can't just shrug and say, well, that's depressing.
Got to do something.
Exactly. Educate yourself, others. Make the choice to align your actions with your values and never start fighting for better, even when it's hard.
So to anyone listening, if this has all felt kind of overwhelming, that's okay. It's heavy stuff.
Definitely not light and breezy.
But don't let it make you feel helpless. Use it.
Yeah. Let it fuel you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This isn't the end, it's the beginning.
We decide what the future looks like, collectively.
Nobody's got it all figured out, that's for sure, but it's being decided right now. By all of us. What kind of world do we want? That's the question.
Do we want more of this fear, manipulation, people in power using us for their own gain? Or something different, something better?
That's the question.
Choose wisely.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for sticking with us.
Thanks for having me.
And remember, the truth is out there. Sometimes it's hidden in plain sight. Keep your eyes open and never stop asking questions.